My name's Sue Wood. I'm Service Manager and Consortia Lead for the SAFE contract.
My name's Martin Else. I'm Accommodation Assistant Manager for the SAFE contract.
SAFE is basically a young person service that covers the whole of Derbyshire, and we provide supported accommodation or floating support for young people aged 18 to 24. That's for the whole of Derbyshire, so you're looking at people down in Swadlincote right up to High Peaks to Glossop and beyond.
My side is the accommodation side. We've got various dispersed properties throughout Dales, Erewash and Swadlincote.
The types of young people that we work with can vary. They're all vulnerable. Vulnerable just by their age and the fact that they've got no stability of a home over a roof over their head. It could be vulnerable because they've got various issues that are making things harder for them to maintain the tenancy. It can be things such as drug use,
offending,
domestic violence,
just basically homelessness.
Just relationships breaking down with families. Floating support is a service that's provided for young people in Derbyshire within their own tenancies. So this could be a local council tenancy, it could be a private rented, and it can vary from being a house to a flat. As long as they've got a roof over their head, that counts as a tenancy and they can access floating support, which is basically support going into their own home. People need that support because they've not, a lot of the young people that we support have got complex issues. It can go back to them not having parenting skills. We work with a lot of young families. We've got a lot of young people who've got substance misuse issues, social services involvement.
The accommodation side of the service is basically dispersed housing and single units throughout various areas of Derbyshire. And what it is young people move into our properties, and that can be up to 2 years support present at the moment, although there is a chance that's going to be cut down as well. And once they're in this property, which is fully furnished, etc., it comes all singing, all dancing, they get a support worker, and we are also lucky enough to have a housing officer working alongside who runs the tenancy. So the support comes from us, and the housing officer runs the tenancy. They're in shared housing, which is just 2 people, or like I said earlier, single units. Generally we get people who come to accommodation who are literally homeless. They haven't got nowhere to live.
Why is it so important that accommodation is there?
Basically because we pick them up, we make them safe, secure, and with support. And like I said, it's been said earlier, it breaks the cycle. If somebody's coming out of, say, offending from prison or young person's unit, then they'll just get back into that offending cycle. We've seen it before. We've seen people actually wanting to try and get back in prison when they can't be housed. It's better than sleeping on the streets. Often young people we do get coming to us I suppose you'd say have been wrote off by society before they're even 16. These people, some of these young people have been passed from different agencies to different agencies in past. They've got very little confidence in anybody and very little trust in anybody, and it takes quite a long while for a support worker to build up that trust. And quite often the young person is kicked back a lot, especially at first. But as a support worker, they just stick it out and stay in there. And basically, 9 times out of 10, these young people will realise, they want more than what society's saying. That's all they're going to have, really.
We've seen the successes as well of both the services, haven't we, as
Yeah,
well?
very much.
Within accommodation.
Very much, yeah. We've got accommodation in South Derbyshire, Harrowing area and the Dales area, and we've had some really good successes. We've had one particular one that comes to mind is we had one young guy moved in literally on his 16th birthday. This is when we were taking them at 16 before the contract change. Now, we were told it wouldn't last 2 minutes off various other people. He's just won Student at Year award. Got him to college, he's gone to college, done absolutely fantastic. That's because he's had support. He's done a lot of it, he's done it all off, a lot of it off his own back, don't get me wrong, but he's had secure accommodation as well. Somewhere to call home.
It's having somebody that you know that you can turn to as well, isn't it? Knowing somebody's on your side and giving you that confidence to do
and not
stuff.
knocking people down at every corner.
Yeah. I think one of the important things about the services is that there's varying levels of it. There's young people who come onto the service and you do a lot of hand holding and you will do a lot of things for them, but all the way through the process it's about learning them to be independent and giving that confidence to do it on their own at a future date.
Definitely.
The Safe Service currently works with between 300 to 400 young people in a year. With the cuts that are being proposed, 85%, what that means in real terms is that going from 3 to 400 down just to 49 young people. When you think about the young people that won't be able to access these services, it's a worry to think what else is available out there because there isn't anything.
And that's right throughout Derbyshire.
Yeah, that's for the whole of Derbyshire, not
That's
just for
throughout
one
Derbyshire.
small area.
So what happens to those 250 something odd people that aren't going to be able to get any help? What will happen to them?
For those people that the services aren't out there for, you only have to look at what's happened in Derby City. There's been a threefold increase in homeless presentations. If the services aren't out there to support young people, they'll have nowhere to go, they'll be out on the streets. Our services are about not only providing accommodation, but they're about keeping people in the accommodation. So on the floating support side of things, it's about keeping that roof over that young person's head. They could be in a local accommodation, a local authority accommodation. It could be private rented. It could be housing association. It's helping them with just basic skills that they've not been taught, that they've not learned, and it's giving them that confidence to face these things and help them have the skills to live independent. We're basically making ourselves redundant at the end of the day, aren't we?
Yeah. And it's also breaking a cycle as well. If we manage to house somebody, if somebody, for instance, comes out of a young offenders unit or prison, if they've got nowhere to live, then they'll just go back into the system.
Yeah, it's just a repeating cycle. When you talk about a young person being written off at that age, they've had that for the majority of their lives. And I think taking these services away, you're just taking away young people's hope, really. A lot of, when young people have finished our services, the things that they say, the thank yous and things that they say is because they've had that time and they've got hope now for the future. And I think if you look at what the government is wanting, young people out to work, off benefits, that's fine. That's what these services are there for as well. But you've got to give them a safety net. They've got to have that support because they're not getting it from the families. They're out there, they're alone, they need some support.